Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope all of you are doing well, treating yourselves well, and enjoying the rest of the summer as it's, coming to a close, especially if you have kids and they're going back to school soon. But something I really wanted to speak about, it's something that feels very important, and it's something that is very important importance is relative, but I feel like it's something that may resonate with many of us as we go on this path to move towards our happiness and our joy and the fulfillment that we want in our lives. And that thing is the fear of happiness. And I know that it may seem really strange because we feel as though we want happiness and that there will be no fear in having happiness. But as we think about building the life of our dreams, building the life that we've always desired for ourselves, there are sometimes subtle fears that we don't even realize are attributed to this fear of happiness. But it's a fear of living our lives so fully, so happily, so much receiving all the things that we desire, and the fear that something bad happens that brings it all crumbling down. So many of us have gone through depths of sadness and darkness and depression and pain, and even to get to a place that we're okay it's an accomplishment. And as we move more towards this path of happiness and living each day in our happiness, it can become a little fearful as we realize that these binds that we've been holding on to that's caused us the pain and suffering and sadness, those things are still kind of lingering there. And if we feel as though we progress to a certain point or take a step forward and something bad happens, then we find ourselves all the way back to where we started. At least that's the fear that we have. And sometimes we don't even articulate that to ourselves. The fact that, it's like I've been doing so well, like I've been getting myself to a place that's okay, that I'm living my life and I'm feeling moderately okay in my life. But I feel like if I stretch this too far, if I really get my hopes up too high, then, it may come all crumbling down. I may end up back in that place, and I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if I can handle being so close to the things that I want, the things that I desire in my life, and then them all coming crashing down because of something that happens. This is a fear that we hold, and it comes in all various degrees. But it's important for us to recognize that is there a fear that we have of happiness, of really just letting go and being ourselves? Do we fear that there are repercussions that would happen from us doing that? Do we fear that, we will be shunned, that we will be put down, that we'll fall back again to a place that we do not want to be? All of these fears, these are just the past trying to hold a grip on us in this present moment. The past trying to show its shadow to us and make it something that's more apparent, but in reality, it is just a shadow. It is just a thought that no longer serves us anymore. It's on that vibration that no longer feels good for us to think about. Happiness and joy and fulfillment, these things are full and certain, but the certainty lies within our attention to it. Do we feel confident in moving forward on this path of happiness, letting go of the fears of, what if it all comes crumbling down? The what ifs, the if will always be a thing if we allow it to be there. And of course, there are endless possibilities. There are many things that can happen as you go on this journey of happiness. There may be things that seem like walls in your way. But as we move more towards refining our happiness and knowing that our happiness is paramount, then that wall will not be something that brings us pain or sadness or suffering. It will be something that tells us, maybe I'm meant to be going a different way. Maybe I want to go a different way instead of trying to break through this wall. I've done that many times, trying to break through the wall, and my hands are tired. I am sore. I feel helpless when I do that. I'm not even going to entertain it this time. I'm going to go around. I'm going to go a different way that brings me more happiness. As we go on this journey, again, that fear that our happiness will somehow crumble before us, that is us building walls right around ourselves and keeping us in the same place. In reality, in truth, we can move around those walls and they do not have to phase us the same way that they did before. Allow yourself to really ask within, is there a fear that I have of living my life in happiness? And this is something I asked myself just this morning, as the thought became so clear within myself to want to speak about it. It is a question that we must all ask ourselves in whatever phase of life we are in. I feel incredibly joyous in my life, and I wake up in appreciation and thankfulness and gratitude, and realize that I'm living a life that many people would love to live, and it's not done yet. There's so much more that I wish to accomplish, that I will accomplish in this life, but right now it's realizing what's within me right now that I appreciate, that I value, and what I want to keep moving forward with, and the things that I want to let go of, the things that have been holding me back from all of the other magnificent things that are in my life. We all have incredible things queued up for us in this life, but it's not until we pay attention to those things and that desire within ourselves to move towards those things. We have to let go of these fears. We have to notice them. We have to notice that they are within the reason why we're hesitant to take that step forward, why we're hesitant to move fully towards who we feel we are within ourselves. There are fears that we all hold. And when you put it into that realization that this is a fear that's holding me from my happiness, this is ultimately a fear of moving towards my happiness. When we realize that, it's so powerful, and we can slowly start to let it go. It may not be a switch that turns off instantly, but when you notice it, when you realize that there may be a subtle fear here in taking the step towards this new job that feels so great, and the idea of having it and the feeling of having it, but there are these other thoughts that are coming in, these other things that seem like it's logic. How do I know it's going to work out? How do I know I'm going to get paid enough to really feel supported? There are all these things that start to come in, and this is our fear of happiness. This is our fear of moving towards something that feels good. There are many times that we come across big decisions in our lives, and on one end of the decision is something that we really want to do, and on the other end is something that is basically what we've just been doing, what feels safer. But the only reason it feels safer is because we feel as though we know what's coming. And in reality, even in our present moment, the present life, the path that we're on right now, there's no certainty in that. So why not step on a new path? Why not step in a new direction that feels better? The uncertainty may be there may be ambiguity in that, but in that ambiguity, there's possibilities. If the path in front of you does not seem like it's well mapped out, or there seems like there's some uncertainty in what may be in the next step, that is more power that you have in that moment to determine what that next step looks like, to determine what comes into your life on that new path. We can create these things if we want to, but only if we're following our passion, only if we're following our joy, the things that uplift us, and we let go of the fears of having that. Because there really is a fear of happiness. Many of us will feel as though we do not want to get our hopes up. It feels too painful, especially after coming out of a dark place. But I assure you that moving towards our passion and letting go of these fears, you will find yourself surrounded by more and more bliss, more and more happiness, more things flooding into your life that are everything that you wanted. And now there will be shadows that seem to come up. There will be walls that seem to appear in front of you. But it's your strength that you're building throughout your life that says, you know what, I don't have to pay attention to this. I don't have to focus on this. I can go around this. And we find ourselves more and more in a place of confidence in ourselves, walking down a path, and it doesn't matter how many walls there seem to be there. You will not notice them anymore because you'll be guided by your happiness, by your joy, by your peace. And the circumstances that arise that try to bring you outside of that, they will lose their power more and more. That fear has less and less of a grip on you. But in each moment of our lives, we have to ask ourselves, is there a fear of moving towards this? When we think about in this moment, what brings me the most excitement? What do I want to move towards? Even in this day, in this moment, in the next hour, what will bring me joy in this? And we think about that, and we think about all the other things that seem to be in opposition of that. Oh, I don't have enough time. Oh, if I do that, then maybe I'll spend too much money. There's so many things that we wish to do, and we block ourselves from doing those things because of these fears that we hold. Allow yourself to do those things and you will not regret it. You will find yourself in a place where you're more confident in yourself to support yourself in your happiness. And that is something so incredibly powerful. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to bring up. There was this huge wave of inspiration speaking about this idea of fear of happiness. And it is something very, very real that many of us have that we may not be able to articulate because it seems like those two things don't belong together, but yet we hold them in our emotional state, in our minds right now, in this moment. As we move towards various things in our lives, there is a fear of gaining those things. And you may say, yeah, I really do want $1 million. I really do want all these, wonderful things and people in my life and these experiences. But moving towards those things in your current life, moving towards that vibration right now in this moment, it may seem fearful because it's saying, oh, if I move from this location, maybe my friends and my family won't love me anymore. If I take this job, maybe it'll end up not being the right one and I end up regretting leaving this other one. All these things are fears of moving towards our happiness. If that job seems more exciting, then go for it. If that location seems more desirable, seems something that is calling you in a way, then move towards it and don't let those fears hold you back any longer. Don't let that fear of happiness keep you from the very happiness that you want to have. You deserve all good things in this life. We all deserve all good things in this life. But it's up to us to move towards those things and to let go of the things that are no longer serving us, the things keeping us back from that happiness. So yeah, that's all I had for this episode. If you have any thoughts or ideas or anything that I'd like to share, you can send that to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join me in the social media groups, Instagram, everything.sunpodcast, Twitter, @everysunpodcast, the Facebook group, @everysunpodcast, and the YouTube page, @everysunpodcast as well. And yeah, that's all I got. Love you all so much, and I will talk to you soon.